Are you at rock bottom? Feel like no one understands the pain you're going through? I don't promise to pull you up right away. But I promise, if you listen to the end of this video, you won't feel like you're missing out anymore, stuck there again. Because what you're about to hear doesn't come from a therapist. It doesn't come from a modern self-help book. But coming from someone who had it all: power, fame, respect, and still felt alone, broken, lost. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote in the dark, not to teach others how to live, but to save himself. Life won't tell you until it knocks you down. It doesn't care if you're successful or unsuccessful, loved or abandoned, unknown or king. It comes when you least expect it. A call in the middle of the night, a resignation email, a cold stare from the person who used to hold your hand every morning. Or waking up one morning, with no reason to get out of bed. That's when you hit rock bottom. And the most painful thing is not that you fell. It's that you don't know what to do next. Stoicism, the philosophy of inner stability, does not promise a smooth life. It does not tell you that everything will be okay. Instead, it asks, amidst all this chaos, you will become who? And Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at that time, also fell into that abyss. Even though he was an emperor, he did not write to give orders. He wrote to keep yourself from collapsing. Amidst war, betrayal, disease, loss, he opened his leather notebook and wrote, "You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react to it." And that is the key. No one can save you from rock bottom, but you can choose not to stay there forever. Because if a person has it all, power, guards, citadel, throne, and still feels lost, you are not alone. If he still needs to remind himself every day, live right, live strong, live firmly, then you can do the same. You don't have to be an emperor. You just have to be in control of yourself, even when everything around you is out of control. So if you are at rock bottom today, if you are asking yourself, what do I have to do to get back up? So here's what Marcus might tell you. Not words of comfort, but those aretrath, those question, those the truth is not easy to swallow, but strong enough to change the way you look, the way you stand up, and the way you move forward. When you're in pain, it's easy to believe that you have no choice, that your pain has total control over you. But what Marcus Aurelius would say to you right now isn't, be strong, but something much deeper. You're in pain, but you still have a choice. You can't prevent loss. You can't tell life not to happen. You can't control how other people treat you. But what you always have the power to do is choose how you respond. That's where Stoicism, the philosophy of self-control, comes into play. Marcus once wrote, "Pain is of the body. Misery is of the mind." This isn't meant to be a denial of emotions, but rather a reminder. Grief is real, but suffering is something you add to it. Pain is an unwelcome guest, but suffering persists because you let it stay. When you are in a dark moment, when your mind is full of questions, worries, and fears, Marcus will not advise you to immediately be optimistic or smile. No, he will ask you a simple question. Is this within your control? If not, let go. If yes, act. You see, Stoicism is not an abstract philosophy. It's very down to earth, very practical, It teaches you to distinguish between two things: what you control and what you don't, what other people think, what you got fired, what that person left. That's not something you can control. But what you keep gnawing at day after day, that's something you can change. When you are overwhelmed by emotion, your brain wants you to stay still, to be helpless, to sink deeper. But Marcus and the Stoics will not let you stay there. They will not allow you to use the "I can't do anything" excuse to abandon yourself. Instead of telling you to feel okay right away, they say, "Get up." Even if it's just one small step. Maybe you don't have the strength to change your whole life today. But you have the strength to drink a glass of water. The strength to clear a corner of your desk. The strength to step outside and take a deep breath. And every little thing, every time you take action instead of being helpless, you take back control a little bit. That's where power begins, not in grand acts, but in small, intentional things. A friend once told me, when you have nothing left, you still have time, and that time, however short, is enough for you to do something meaningful. Whether it's writing a diary entry, whether it's calling a friend, whether it's walking without knowing where you're going, as long as you don't stop. You may be hurting, but you are not defeated. You may feel disoriented, but you do not lose the ability to choose. Choose silence. Choose to listen to yourself. Choose not to react hastily. Choose to move on. Once again, Marcus did not write to teach others how to be kings. He wrote to remind himself, you don't have to do everything. You just have to do the next right thing. And today, I want to remind you of that. You don't have to turn the world around. You just need to do the next right thing. A small step, but one of someone who is choosing to live proactively. Not submissively. Because you're in pain, but you still have a choice. And that's where freedom begins. When you are angry, your mind is not looking for a target, it is looking for an enemy. And then what you want most is not to solve the problem, but to react, respond, strike back, defend, fight. But have you ever stopped and asked, does this reaction serve my purpose? That seemingly simple question is one of the most powerful tools you can use to master your emotions. It's like a door, if you open it for just a moment, you can escape the cycle of regret that so many people are trapped in for their entire lives. Have you ever said something in anger, and just a few minutes later wished you hadn't said it? Ever sent a text message that you had to reread 100 times just to realize how foolish you were? Or have you ever lost a person, an opportunity, or a part of your reputation that cannot be regained because of an impulsive action? That's the price of reacting without thinking. And the worst part is, you think you're getting justice. But in the end, what you get is lasting hurt. Reacting in anger may give you an immediate sense of satisfaction, but it will eventually lead to a series of unintended consequences: loss of trust, loss of control, and sometimes, loss of self. Marcus Aurelius, who wrote hundreds of pages reminding himself to live rationally, also asked himself, does this action, this word, serve my long-term goal? Not the goal of ego, but the goal of peace, of morality, of honor that he wanted to keep until the end of his life. What are you living for? Do you want to prove yourself right, or do you want to maintain an important relationship? Do you want to show off to others, or keep your respect for yourself? Do you want to say something that will silence others? Or do you want to keep your dignity and composure in the end? The question, does this reaction serve my purpose, is a reminder to return to what is truly important to you. Not what your emotions want you to believe is important. In an increasingly chaotic world, where everyone is easily agitated, vulnerable, and angry, the person who stops to ask himself this question is the one who is on a very different path, the path of inner freedom. And this question, if practiced regularly, becomes an automatic filter for all your actions. It makes you stop reacting instinctively and start acting accordingly. Value. The value of compassion, the value of self-control, the value of emotional intelligence. What keeps you from falling into the trap of anger and from becoming a victim of it? I want you to remember this. Every reaction you make is an arrow, either shot towards the target you really want, or flying off into the darkness that you will later apologize to yourself for. And to avoid that, you don't need a long-term course. You just need a pause. One question, a reminder. Does this reaction serve my purpose? If the answer is not sure, then you know what to do. Don't answer yet. Don't act hastily. Wait until you can answer. Yes, this is the response of someone who knows what he is living for. And when you start living like that, you'll see, you don't have to shout louder to be heard. You just have to live with purpose, respond with purpose, and walk through life with a dignity that others will respect without having to prove anything. There are times in life when you will ask yourself, why is this happening to me? Why me, and not someone else? Why lose your job? Why get betrayed? Why end up alone, broke, or in a situation where you can't imagine moving on? And then, in the midst of all these questions, you find yourself standing in the middle of a chasm, a place where everything around you seems to be falling apart. But it is there that Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, will tell you something that will change the way you look at every challenge in your life. What happened to you was arranged to serve you. It sounds contradictory, even paradoxical. How can bad things serve us? But it is at the heart of a very important concept in Stoic philosophy, amor fati, love of fate. Marcus does not wish for adversity to go away. He does not write to complain about life. Instead, he records every hardship, every loss, every pain, as an indispensable part of the journey to maturity. For him, fate is not an enemy, but a cold but fair teacher, and each thing that happens is a lesson tailored to you. Take a look back at your life. Is it true that it is the times when you lose the most that are the times when you learn the most? Is it only when you fail that you are forced to look back and correct your mistakes? Is it only when everything is stripped away that you truly know what you are living for? An abyss is not a place to end. It is a place to begin again, but this time, beginning with depth, with humility, and with a completely different inner strength. Stoics believed, the obstacle in the way is the way. Meaning, if there is a rock in your way, don't turn away, climb over it, step on it, or crush it if necessary. Because that obstacle, that pain, that adversity, is training you to become a stronger version of yourself. You don't have to pretend to love bad things. But you can choose not to fight life. You can choose to turn pain into fuel. Like a pine tree growing in rocky, barren soil, the less it is given. The stronger it grows, not because it is lucky, but because it learns to work with hardship instead of against it. Some people will spend their whole lives running away from adversity. They will complain, whine, blame. But you are different. If you are listening to this, I believe you are someone who can see adversity with new eyes. Look at what is happening in your life right now. Grief? Maybe. Disoriented? Most likely. But it could also be that this is the transformation you need to go through to move on to a whole new chapter. Don't ask why anymore. Ask, what is this teaching me? What lesson is hidden inside this challenge? Because if you learn that, you don't just overcome adversity, you grow beyond it. Marcus once wrote in his diary, "Life doesn't happen to us. It happens to us." And when you start living with that mindset, you will no longer see life as a series of injustices. You will see everything, even the pain, is part of the design to awaken your true potential. You just have to accept it, transform it, and move on. That is how the Stoics turned adversity into strength. That's how Marcus overcame thousands of battles within and outside himself. And that's how you, starting today, can begin to look back at the depths in your life, not as an end, but as a door to step into the strongest person you were born to become. When you're at rock bottom, when everything inside you just wants to give up, one of the hardest things to do is the simplest thing: take action. No need to do anything big. No need to feel ready. Just take action, even if it's small. And that, Marcus Aurelius is telling you right now. He will not ask you, "How do you feel?" He would ask, "What are you doing with that?" Because Marcus and the Stoics knew all too well, emotions are unstable. You can't wait until you're okay to act. If you do, you might never do anything. But if you act first, even if it's just a small thing, your mind begins to change. It's a funny thing about human psychology. We don't always act on our emotions. Often, our emotions will change with our actions. You may not feel like getting out of bed this morning, but if you put your feet up, wash your face, get dressed, you'll find you can endure another day. You may not feel like working, but if you open your computer, respond to an email, you've stepped out of the cycle of helplessness. You may feel like no one cares about you, but if you take the initiative to text someone, or help someone else, you just brought a little bit of faith back into life. That's what Stoicism is. No flowery stuff. No sentimentality. No waiting for inspiration. Just do the next right thing. Marcus once wrote, "When you are sad, do the right thing." You don't have to be happy to take action. It's the action that counts. Call back positive emotions. It's like lighting a fire on a cold night. You don't have to wait for the wind to die down. Just light the fire, and the light will come. And what's more, action restores something very important that many people lose when they hit rock bottom: a sense of control. When you do nothing, you find yourself a victim. But when you take action, even if it's just folding a blanket, cleaning a desk drawer, or taking a 10-minute walk, you're affirming, "I still have control over something." And from that one thing, you expand to 2, 3, then 10 other things. You are no longer being pushed around by life. You are rebuilding your path. I know, you may be tired. You may be thinking, "I just can't do anything anymore." But you don't have to do it all. You just have to do one thing. An action is a statement. A statement that says, I'm not done. I'm still here, and I'm going to keep going. There is no magic spell that heals faster than intentional action every day. There is no more powerful therapy than starting over, even in silence. And no one gives you the power back, except you. When you choose to stand up instead of staying still. So if you don't know where to start today, start small. Write down a thought, fold the blanket, take a 5-minute walk, drink a glass of water. No need to feel optimistic. No need to be sure of anything. Just act, and let that action lead the way. Marcus lived through war, loss, betrayal, and the collapse of an empire. Yet he wrote, acted, and persevered every day, not because he was always fine, but because he understood one thing. As long as we can act, we are still in control of ourselves. And so do you. You are not weak. You are just standing at a threshold. That door opens with one small action that you can start right now. You might lose a job. You might lose a loved one. You might lose a phase of your life that you worked so hard to build. And those losses can leave you feeling like you have nothing left. But stop and ask yourself, can fate take everything away? Or is there something that no one can touch? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, nothing can hurt you if you don't let it into your mind. This short but powerful quote is a reminder that you always have the power to protect the most important part of yourself, your inner self. No one can take away your dignity, your integrity, or your ability to choose how to live your life, unless you let it go. Take a look at what life can take away. Money can be lost overnight. Reputation can be ruined by one mistake. The one you love can leave. No reason needed. Your body may weaken. Illness may come unexpectedly. But if you keep your sanity, if you stay true to yourself, if you still won't trade your conscience for short-term emotional relief, then you are still you, and that is something no storm can wash away. Marcus does not write for the weak. He does not lull you to sleep with comforting words. He reminds you, if you have breath, you have choice, and if you have a choice, you are not a victim. You are not a passive recipient of fate. You are the one who can answer fate, by the way you live. Even in the ruins. That is why Stoicism is not a philosophy for peaceful times. It is philosophy for dark times. When you lose everything, Stoicism helps you see the last thing you have left, and it is stronger than anything you have ever had. There is one strange thing. It's when you're stripped of everything that you realize what's at your core. And that core is not in the wallet, not in the social media account, not in the admiration of others. It lies in, you can hold your head high, even when you're down. You can be silent, instead of blaming. You can choose integrity, instead of trading for ease. You can stay calm, even when the world around you is in chaos. And if you do that, you not only survive, you are living with the strength that Marcus trained every day. I know, sometimes you feel like you're not strong enough. But Marcus would not agree with you. He would say, you are stronger than you think. You just haven't tried standing up for yourself yet. And he was right. Because if you are still listening to this, if you are still looking for a way forward, it means you have not given up. No matter what the world takes away, no matter how challenging life gets, you still have one thing that no one can take away: your choice. Choose to live right. Choose to be in control. Choose not to be defeated in mind. Hold on to that, because it's not just what you have left after all, but it's also the thing that will help you rebuild it all. Maybe you're at a point in your life where everything is falling apart. You feel exhausted, lost, and don't trust anyone or even yourself. And in that moment, you don't need someone to hug you and say, "Everything will be okay." Because you know, it probably won't. You don't need a sweet talk. You need something real, strong, and enough to get you up. And that's when you need to hear what Marcus Aurelius would say. You are the one who can overcome this. You were born to do it. Not because you're perfect, not because you've never failed, but because you're still here. And being here means there's a choice. There's a chance. There's a reason to keep going, even in the dark. Marcus, like all Stoics, never denied pain. But they never gave up either. They did not live under the illusion that life would be easy. They lived with awareness. They looked directly at what was happening. And they acted. No avoidance. No complaining. Don't give up and call it fate. There is only observe, accept, and move on. You might say, "But I'm not ready." And I'll be honest with you. No one is ever really ready. We don't become strong before we start. We begin, and in that very journey, we become strong. The Stoic did not wait for light to set out. They walked ahead, and it was that journey that brought light to the road. You may be at rock bottom, but rock bottom is not the end. It is the foundation, and maybe you are standing at the exact place you need to start again, but this time, not with naivety, but with depth. No one can live your life for you. No one can stand up for you. But you can do it. Whether it's the first time, or the 1,000th time, whether you have to crawl, fall, and get up again. The important thing is, you don't stay at the bottom. Marcus overcame battles within and without himself. Not because he wasn't afraid, but because he knew. Courage doesn't lie in not being afraid. It lies in continuing despite being afraid. And you can do it too. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get started. One step, one action, one decision. I will not give up. Believe this. The light is not only at the end of the tunnel. It is at every step you take, even through the trembling, even through the tears. So if you're at rock bottom, remember, this is not the end. This could be the opening to the most powerful part of you that you have never seen before. And one day, you will look back at this very moment and thank yourself for not giving up. You were born to get through this, and you are doing it right now. If you've made it this far, it's no coincidence. Perhaps the universe is whispering to you, it's time to take a deeper journey within yourself. What you just heard didn't come from a book or a theory. It came from real experience, from the cracks that hurt, but also where the light came in. And if something in this video resonated with you, then I believe you are on the right frequency to receive values that not everyone is willing to listen to. I don't promise that everything will change overnight, but if you really listen and start practicing, in a few months, you will no longer be the old version of yourself. If you feel the same way, leave a like, a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue receiving profound messages on your journey of inner growth. Welcome to the space of enlightenment. understanding and rebirth. The journey is still long, but you have taken the first steps. And that is what matters most.